Hello dear students, welcome back for the lecture 3 of GIS. What we have seen last time, what is the raster model and what is the vector model. Have a look on the comparison of all this. You can see the image, and the image will be either can be represented in the point forms, line forms or the area forms. So you can see here is the raster model and here is the vector model. Now you can see how it can be represented. For example, a geographical location of any hotel or any different hotels in a particular region. So you can see the distribution of geographical distribution of all the points likewise, and same has to be represented represent here in the raster form. So there his raster is nothing but the points itself also, but they are expressed in the pixel form. Then second example, the lifts, the sky lifts, you can see here the image, and that is running along a line, therefore it is represented as a line form. So if it has to be represented here in the vector form, so it will be a line which is running like this and represented in a vector model here, whereas in the raster form it is represented like this. Some features they are in the polygon form. So let us say there is a forest, and the geographical boundaries of this are shown here, and it has supposed to represent in a vector form. It will be like this. So all these will be the node points. Similarly, it will look in a raster form like this. Like I can say it is a network road. So network will be looking like this. Okay, and it will be looking like this here. Then last one is the surface here, elevation model. So mostly they are represented as in the contour form, because it has not only two dimensions but the elevation is the third, therefore they are represented the area as well as the elevation. So there you can see here as the contour model. So same has represented here. So what is here is the real world can be expressed either point form, line form, area form, and sometimes surface or the in three-dimensional form, in both the ways, either raster or vector. So if you want to compare the raster and vector model, basically most of the features, they are consisting of the natural and environmental features such as the elevation, the temperature, precipitation, and the vector data, which are mostly in the built environment or man-made environment, and mostly they will be in the form of different roads, the buildings, and sometimes it may be in the form of the administrative data such as the countries and census data of any countries. To remember one statement, a raster data have only one attribute. So make a note of this. Raster data have only one attribute. You know what is the attribute? It has some value, and attribute that gives the description or more information about a particular feature. So raster data have one kind of the information only, but the vector data may have n number of the attribute values. So you have to keep this in mind. So in addition to locational and attribution information, there are two more spatial properties you should understand. One is called the geometric property and topological. Last time we have seen, but we are seeing this in more detail. So what is the geometric properties? Geometric property says you the position and measurements such as the length, direction, area, volume, likewise. So that will give the what is the geometry of that point. Sometimes the orientation also comes into the geometry point. Now second is the topological properties. Topological in what sense? The connectivity, how they are different features they are connected, then inclusion within each other or not, and second the adjacency. Adjacency indicates how far or how close or how proximity of that particular features surrounding all the features that will be indicated by the function or parameter as a adjacency. Okay, so using this you can ask even more types of the questions of your data, and from this you can gain more deeper insights. To understand more clearly a raster data model, this is represented as a grid form. So in the first slide we have seen how the raster and the vector models they are compared. So any grid, suppose there is number of because the grid is consisting of the rows and columns, so these are the running in the horizontal wise the columns you can see here, so 1 2 3 likewise, and here they are going as a horizontal wise, these are the rows. So here each cell, here you can say this is the grid entire, so 5 by 5 is the grid, and in each grid there is a one cell. So the cell may be consisting of different images, photos, okay, or we can simply say that suppose this is a grid, so that's in this each grid this cell is known as the pixel, and each pixel has some numerical value which is consisting of the 8 bit, and this we call as the numerical value as the digital number. Okay, now how the raster data will be looking like. So to understand this, like let us take a one river which is running in this direction. You can see this one. This is the river, and if you want to represent there in the raster image, so what is this? Is the image which will be looking like this. So this is the grid, and each cell has got the one digital number. Last in the last slide we have seen. So you can see here this is consisting of your grid, and this is nothing but your the digital number. So if we say, you can see is the one, so that one will be to this cell. So this cell has some identification as first row and third column, so 1/3, so which has the value of 1. So we need not bother about how these numbers or digital numbers they are given. Just simply remember how they are given. There is as such no any image forming here, so therefore these are considered to be 0 digit, because no image, that means no digital number, so can be expressed as a 0. So likewise there are different numbers, you can say here is the 2 2 2 2 like this, so this is the 2 2 likewise. So again not only this, it is also differed by the color. So sometimes the color, sometimes the texture, all will distinguish the different digital number sets. So what is the vertex 1? So you can see this is 1 vertex, 2, so okay, 1 2 3 4 5 6 and 7. So how many of vertexes shown with the yellow lines? 7 vertex. Now these have the coordinates. So these are looking like this. Their x-axis nothing but this, suppose the value is not shown here, but can be represented the latitude and longitude wise. There are no value are mentioned, only written as x, could be any value. Okay, now id2 here is this. Okay, and this is vertex 1, vertex 2, vertex 3, right? So again it has the coordinates likewise. Now just I was mentioning about this, here is the identity 1, you can see with the red line, that will be here the red, and the box represent to the information to this one. Then this one, second one, which is shown here, and the information related to this, like, so these are the vertex 1 2, And so this is the displayed in GIS diagram, and this is the stored in the file. So stored in the file, that means is in the attribute form. So how the raster data can be collected from the or created from the paper maps. So you have the paper map like this. So what you do, you divide this into or make a uh, the paper on which you divide into number of, or rather I'll say make a grid of this having one definite size of the cell, and cell is nothing but your pixel size, right? So what you do, divide into number of these cells like this. So what the rest how the raster data is created is scan a paper map or an aerial photograph. It could be an imaginary, even also imaginary map or aerial photograph also, and on which you will overlay a grid layer or lattice paper on the digital image and read the attribute value at grid point. So automatically get connected, or it is counted like this. So you can see here the blue color. So here is the blue color. This blue color is different. This blue color is different. There is some kind of the again green color, then red color. The red color is the yellow color, like this. Okay. Now, why GI is so popular? The reason most behind this is that GIS turns raw data into information. Very first thing. Okay, so if you don't know the skill of this, how it is the data to be converted into information, then there is no use of this data. And this information is very much useful for solving many complex problems in the world. And this will be problems, or the questions will be special and temporal form. Special means related to the space, and temporal is nothing but related with to the time. How the values will change over the period of the time. So we call it the temporal questions. How they vary the points with respect to space or the distance from one location to another location. So that is called the spatial questions. So to understand this, let us say in this map, each country is displayed with a different shade of green. You can see I have different shades. So each shade has got the different value. The darker the shade, the greater the country's population. So if you want to show the country's population for any particular range, so all the shades have the some kind of the range which indicates the different population. So the GIS analysis can be done to get the answers of few of the questions. For example, where is the most suitable place for housing development? So this may not be questions related to the above diagram. So understand in different way. Here each country was placed into five groups based on its population. So population can be also uh, depicted in different form. So you can see instead of the color shade, you can see the sizes of the dots. So you can see here the population. If you see the size of this dot, then again, so the dot sizes are varying, indicating the range of the population. So in this in this way you can get the information, but the question is that how this data can be collected. So we go for the analysis, data analysis. So basically there are three forms you will find as a spatial analysis, then surface analysis, and the network analysis. Surface analysis mostly you will find as a creation of a digital elevation model. So mostly it will be help us to give the elevation difference of many points with relative to each other. The network analysis will after analysis doing this, you will get the most possible route, either in the form of the roadways or the sewer lines or the pipeline which will supply the water. But we are more interested in this spatial analysis. Okay, to test you out, let us say take two questions. Whether calculation of the center of Mumbai's population can be considered as a spatial analysis. I hope you understood this question. So the answer is yes, because the result directly depends upon the location of the residents. So if you consider the Mumbai area and altogether Mumbai's population, if we calculate the mean of that, so whether it is possible to find out the center of Mumbai's population, yeah, because the data is same, geographical locations you are knowing, geographical distribution of different population according to that region you are also knowing, so you can do the spatial analysis. So parameter, because residents, they are wherever they are going, after doing service the people will come in at the or in their houses, so therefore we can say the people they are doing staying here can be considered as the population. Now again same people, if we ask one more questions related to this, can we calculate the average income for a group of people which are staying at their home, or with for the population we are considering for a particular region? The answer is no. The answer is no, because the average income doesn't depend on the location of the people. uh, to give the answer in another way is like, if you want to say the average income, average is the parameter, is not the term related to the people who where they are staying. It is the term related more than where they are working. Are you understood the meaning of this? So uh, calculations of population is one thing, and calculation of the same people, a calculation of average income of the same people is the another questions. So the people who are staying, we can the population in the or the residents of that particular area. But if we say the income of that people, they are not earning in that region only, so they are going elsewhere, so average income is not same, because they are not again going in the same place. Different people from that location, that region, are going different locations. Therefore you can't say the average income is this spatial analysis for that region. Okay, so what is the spatial analysis? So spatial analysis is nothing but the process of examining the locations, then the attributes and the relationship of feature of spatial data, which indicates two uh, functions, which means the overlay and other techniques, and to address a question or gain a knowledge. So spatial analysis, what it does is it extracts or creates new information from spatial data. So far what we have studied, that the database which is created, it need not be only categorizing only categorizing the data only, but it should fulfill the objectives of the users also. Okay, so it should be able to, when we do the analysis, so that analysis should be able to extract the data, because data sometimes may not be directly available in the form. So when we prepare some mathematical model, then we will using that model we will get the some another kind of the output. Therefore if we call it the extract, then create the new information. So it is also possible to create new kind of set of data. So that new form of set of data is nothing that would be we call as a new form of the information. So Spatial analysis, if you say that objective wise, the spatial analysis is to transform and combine the data from different sources into useful information and satisfy the objectives of the decision making. Okay, so we will try to get some of the answers if for the some of the special questions. The special questions could be in the different forms such as the location, condition, trends, routing, patterns, and the modeling. So if I want to describe a special question as a location, so location, if first thing is that we have to find out or identify a very specific location of a particular object. So you can see it can be located at, for example, one particular by latitude and longitude. You may be knowing all this repeatedly, may have we have seen that, but some of the things we need to understand it more clearly. Then secondary conditions. Okay, so condition, that means we need to again search for the condition of that particular. So what did that means? So where do, for example, do low income residents live? So it will, which this from that may not be clearly understood. So we need to explore more. So that means we are going to searching for this. So we have to collect the data from those the residents we have. So that means we have to define first, and after that rejecting the income which are above the low income. Then trends. So this here is the overlay analysis. The low overlay analysis can be understood by putting the questions such as what has changed over the time. So for example, what is the change in green area size from 2000? Okay, nowadays we can create the overlays analysis. If you see the what is the corona effect, so if you have watching the news, so in that news the ozone layer, the ozone layer has increased, or the river pollution has decreased. So these are nothing but the effects. So that comes your the overlay analysis. Then routing is nothing but the it is the self-explanatory, which is the best way to travel. Okay, so the question may be put likewise, we that comes in your network analysis, how I can reach the destination in the least time. So that is done by the network, and that means number of the routes they are available, but depending upon different traffic intensity, depending upon that at what time you want to reach, so and so many questions combining together you can find out the final answer. So how can I reach a destination in less time? Then one more is the patterns that will comes under your query analysis. So you can put many queries, you can arise many queries. These are the questions which does not exist but may be considered or likely to get uh, raised in future. So we call it the query analysis. Then modeling is nothing but the building spatial model that may comes under as a mathematical model. So mathematical will give the prediction in future. So for example, uh, what areas will be flooded? Here you can see what areas will be flooded by 1 meter sea level rise. So mostly modeling is done for getting the answers of such questions which are likely to arise in future. So in another form we call it the prediction. Okay, we will see more in details the spatial analysis. So there are three different the functions which are carried out in spatial analysis. Number one is the measurement technique, then second is the buffer analysis, and third one is the overlay analysis. Okay, so before that we need to understand in the spatial analysis there are different measurements are taken. So if you have the map or aerial photograph or the digital map, in that case you need to understand what are the different sizes, shapes, the patterns, the distance, length, area of different objects or the features. Then secondly, these objects, we have seen that how close or far it is. So it is, in the case of the analysis, can be expressed the proximity analysis. We all simply call it the proximal. So area within a distance of, so simply can be considered as a how near the any future, how far it is, and again can be expressed as the absolute or relative. So there are different points. If I say, oh, there are different points, 1 2 3 4 5 6. So if I consider this point, okay, and with the surrounding there are many more points, so we can say what is the distance of all the surrounding points, close or far or absolute or relative expressed. Then one more is the topological. Mostly they are into two forms. One is the spatial, how identically spatially they are. That means how close, or sorry, how similar are they, and second, how adjacent to them are. So therefore in topology we have seen last year, the lectures, what is the topological. So geometrical and topological, there are two functions, two tools which are used. Directional activities use either bearings or the you can say the compass directions. Okay, so measurement techniques. First, measurement functions include computing what is the different distance between the features. This is very simple, no need to study extra. Area of two-dimensional features and volume of three-dimensional features. So measurement may be either distance form, area form, or that means linear, area wise and volume wise. Okay, the measurement we may be varying as per the what is the data, either in vector form or the. So here it is try to show you how the data can be expressed either vector or raster form. So measurement, after suppose you want to show here, this is the, you can see vector form is the one point A and here is another point the B. So if you join this together, it simply form a line. So it is very easy to calculate this. So here you go for some arithmetic operation. So you know what is the coordinate is the 2 7, here is the 6 11. So simply you can use the Pythagoras theorem. If you do this, you are getting this value as a 5.7 units. Okay, now for the polygon, if you want to know the area which is enclosed between this can be calculated by this one. Okay, usually we are knowing this, and if you want to show this in the GIS map, it will be looking like this. So here the A1 point, here is the B1 point. So you know what is the, you want to know what is the length of this. So simply A1 B1 can be calculated by applying the same principle which are applied as the Pythagoras theorem. Again, this is in vector form, but if is this is the raster form, you know that raster will be always expressed in the digital number, or it is digital number which is written here in the form of the in the cells form. So each cell have different digital number or values. So if you want to the same from here to here, what is the length of this? So from here to here, so this is the value 5.7. So here, so you may be asking how this value is coming out. So the detailed calculation we did not go into that depth. So only to understand how it can be expressed the measurements of any quantity. Okay, we are. So we will go for the proximity analysis. You know what is the proximity? It is nothing but the nearness or farness with relative to each other. For example, how much time it will take from one point to another. So the more of the closer point, we call it the small distance it required to cover. So that means because the, sorry, close, more time means far it is, to travel, and close, if it there, that means less time it will be there. So time is the factor. Time is the factor. So why the proximity analysis is used? So to evaluate the influence of object with respect to the other surrounding objects. So we are going to see again how it will affect the nearness or farness of any object. Okay, the how this proximity analysis can be expressed. So the form is called the buffer form. Okay, now what is the meaning? So to understand this buffer analysis, the most common example we can say, for example, the noise analysis or the pollution analysis we want to know. So for example, in Mumbai city, which are the noise zones? That means you give some limit. Beyond that, you say that these are coming into the noise zone. Similarly, pollution. That means industrial area in a city itself. So therefore, MIDC is the most polluted zones. So how you decide this? So that means you give some certain value above which, if the value increases, you call it the particular zone. Okay. Now, um, so buffer is nothing but the creation of a zone of a specific width around a point, or it could be line, or it could be the area. Now you can see here there is a point. You can see here this in this diagram there is a point, and this point is, that could be anything. That could be a tree, that could be any structure, or that could be any society. So therefore, you can see there is a one point, or there is a one feature surrounding to this. Surrounding to this, here is the buffer. Buffer is nothing but the width or the extent you want to show there. Similarly, for a line, let us say there is a road, and you decide how much width all around it. So if there is a point, so point zone can be represented with a specific radius. You can see here, because it's a point, and surrounding that zone will also be in the circular form. Whereas in this case, if it is a line, it could not be a circular one, so it could be like this. And if it is a the polygon could be any, right from the triangle to any type polygon, any number of the sides. So surrounding to this, concentric to that, you can see the zones can be shown here. Okay. So for this one, it could be in the form of the point. So if you want to say that how the example of the point can be expressed. So for example, let us say now there is a if you want to show in your house. So you want to know uh, what are the restaurant uh, near to your house, 1 kilometer or half kilometer apart. So how many number of the hotels you want to search? So quickly you just put the quick queries on, find out the Google, half kilometer surrounding to me. What are the different sources, different the restaurant that will serve you? So this is one of the example you can consider. Now we will go for the line buffering. Line buffering mostly that could be which is running along a length. So it could be a pipeline, it could be sewer line, it could be a river, it could be the road or the railway track, like this. So this line buffering is very helpful in measuring proximate distances either from road or river zones. So you can create here, you can see the example. Now here this is your the line buffering. Now in this diagram you can see this is the road, you can see here like this, and this is the network of the road. Okay, so you can say this is, suppose this is a highway, and if you say to either side of this road 500 meter on either side there should not be any residential zone, no habitant at all So therefore you can see it should be free from without free of any kind of the structure. So you give the buffer of 500 meter to each side. Okay, so that is giving the line buffering. So if you find out if there any encroachment into that, so it is possible giving the going for the analysis and going for the search, is there really now condition or scenario of any encroachment within the 500 meters or not. So quickly you can find out giving the buffer 500. Okay, this is the polygon buffering. In polygon, as I said, the object need not be existing actually in forming the polygon. It could be like a irregular shape. But the GIS map doesn't know the actually this one. So what you can do, you can just form a polygons like this, like this. So you can see here number of the polygon. Now along this, so there could be two forms, either outside the polygon which surround or contains the polygonal surface under consider. So this is the polygon you can consider surface, and outside of the polygon this is the buffer. There could be different form inside the polygon that is contained in. So you can again uh, create a buffer zone inside of this like this. So for this much is my buffer width inside this. So two kinds of the buffer for the polygon could be possible depending upon the problem you want to solve. Number one is the outside polygon and inside. So most of the times you may understand outside is possibly easy to search out, but for inner, I'll give example for this inside the polygon. Suppose the flood has occurred, the dam from the dam water is released, and there is a to some distance there is some village and which is also going to flood it. Now here you want to predict how much, so much water is released from the dam. So how much area is going to uh, flooded or affected by the flood. So this inside water, so this is nothing but what it shows the boundary of the village, and water enters into this. So how much or how many number of the houses they are going to affect. So if you get the buffer of the, let us say, under 500 meters, so it is possible to explore how many number of the houses they are going to get affected by the flood. Okay, now we will see the overlay function. So overlay function, basically there are the different layers one above the another, and each layer will be having a different the features. So in one layer only one feature, in second layer another feature, in the third layer then third feature likewise. So it investigates the spatial association of different features. So having different the layers and what is their association with each other. For example, what is the geographic pattern, that we are also going to see. So what is the principle of the overlay function is that first is to compute the characteristics of the same location in both the data layer. So for example, there are two layers. So in this we want to know the characteristics. The condition is that the location should be the same. So if I want to compare two different data layers, so they should be showing the same location, then and then the overlay function can be carried out. Second, to produce a new characteristic for each location in the output data layer. Here you can say, let us say there are 4 complete layers, 1, 2 and 3, 4. Okay, so when you do the analysis, after doing the analysis you may have either two converting or this transforming the four characteristics into two characteristics. Okay, either in this form or it could be in these two forms. So this 1, 2, the 3 and the 4. So it could be either combined together forming this is the third, sorry, this is the fifth and this is the sixth, or it could be this fifth or this sixth. So here we are producing new characteristics. For example, if you say this is the therefore one is the urban area, agriculture area, industrial area, like this. So here you can combine any two both together, this and this together, or this and this together, depending upon you are getting this new characteristics or this new characteristics. Okay, so it can be as the data is a raster data or vector data, depending upon we have the raster overlay analysis and or it could be a vector overlay analysis. So the data which are available, neither all data is in raster form nor it will be on the vector form. So some of the data is in the raster data form and some of the data is in the vector data form. So the raster overlay analysis can be done by comparing the any two pairs of the cells, and a vector analysis can be done. It is first no doubt compare any the or pair of the data, but apart from determining the special intersection of the feature. So it is not only compared in this case, but also the intersection is done. So we are going to see in a moment what is meaning of the intersection of this. Okay, to understand this more clearly, here is the vector. So here is the vector analysis. So here is the vector overlay analysis. Now this is a map. This is having one layer. So this shows you, this is not the plus, this is the only cross indicates, plus sign indicates the location here. It is not plus 2 value plus 1 value. It's this location 1, 2 and 3 are the different point objects, and let us say there is some different data which is not point, but there could be the area wise. So let us say this is the one area which is the forest and here is the non-forest. Okay, now if I do the overlay analysis, the result what will you get? So where it will one, okay, so you will get the data in the format that one will be coming in the forest land, two will be coming in the forest land, and the third will be coming in the non-forest lands. This is very simple to understand. So how the analysis is done? So this is nothing but the intersection in the vector overlay analysis. Okay, so point ID which is shown as the 1. So here what you can, the new characteristics of this you can uh, work out here. 1 belong to forest land. So here in the first is overlay, you don't have this kind of the information. In the 2, what you get the characteristic of this is the coming into the forest area, and the third coming to non-forest area. Okay, so from this it is very understood, but when there are multiple number of the features with the only eyes, it is not possible. So therefore we create some GIS map, and using the softwares all the analysis is done, and finally what the table we are getting here is like this. Okay, one more example. So this is a point and here as area, but let us say this is a road. So now here is the line is there, one is the line map, here was the point map, here is the now line map, and here is the polygon map. Okay, so this is was also polygon. Now if they are combined together, or what we can say the plus sign, it indicates that means the intersection, the result will be in the form like this. So how it will be looking like this here. So that means you are superimposing or overlaying this. So here what it is, where is the one is here. Okay, so it has the line like this and this. So what is these lines? So if it's the old id and new id you are getting. So old id, what it says there, 1. So it is the 1. Okay, so but it doesn't have its own characteristics. But if you superimpose this, now it has what, it's a new id. So what is the one will be coming in the, okay, forest land. So you can say new id is the forest land. Okay, then another, it has the second. So where is the second point? Okay, because this is consider this one, and when you compare this one, so it will be forming like this. So 2 point is here coming, then third point is here, because number no more gaining the same positions, they will be changed. So you must have observed what is the change in the map. So old id and new id, therefore it is sent like this. Again, you need to understand more clearly, but right now just understand how it can be done. Nobody is going to ask you how it can be done. Okay, this is the raster overlay. This is the simple arithmetical operation. You can see layer 1 and layer 2. If you have solved a matrix form, similarly two matrices, if they add together, will form a third new matrix. Similarly, this is the one grid. We call it the layer 1 is the, which is shown here, and the layer 2. Now if you add this together, so it will have new set of the information and having the new values or new the digital number. Similarly, if you are subtracting this, so you are getting like this. Okay, now if you put the condition layer 1 is more than 2 or layer 2 is more than 1, this is the operations and called as the Boolean expression. So this is also one of the form to do the overlay analysis for the raster. Again, here is the division 1, division 2, and the result which is shown. Okay, if you understood this much, that is okay. Exam point of view, this much is more than enough. So we have almost completed the your GIS module. Only the remaining part application you can. Uh, these are very simple, but if I put this on Moodle, from this you can refer this. There are simple applications of this. There is no need to understand extra knowledge for this. Simply by referring, it is self-explanatory and you can understand very well. Thank you.